Hello everyone, I'm Speedy TCG and welcome back to part 2 of my Nuzlocke. Now, to quickly recap, we've beaten the first gym with Brock, beaten Misty, destroyed Lieutenant Surge, and beaten Erica. Now, on screen now is a list of all the encounters I can get, and all the ones I've got so far. Now we're all caught up, let's get back into this Nuzlocke. 4 more badges to go. With the Sylph Scope in hand, we head straight to the Pokemon Tower in Lavender Town to fight the rival and Cubone's mother. Again, I'm going to skip this rival fight because Cup just comes in and destroys every single member of his team with a Thunderbolt. That's Gary defeated again. After beating Gary, we go up a floor of the Pokemon Tower to catch our next encounter, a Ghastly, which we nickname Plate. After this, we head to the top of the Pokemon Tower to beat up Cubone's mum and kill her again. Sorry Cubone. Now we have the Pokeflute, we can wake up the sleeping Snorlax with a quick blast of 3 blind mice. Something tells me he didn't like that. After annoying an angry bear with a flute, we catch our next encounter on Route 13, which is a Venonat we nickname Jar. He sits in the box as well. Our next destination is Fuchsia City. We arrive here ready to face the gym, but first we need to hit up the Safari Zone to get Surf and the Warden's Teeth. After getting Surf, we can finally head towards the gym to get the 5th gym badge from Koga. Now, I'm going into this fight confident again, as half our team is poison type and will resist all his moves. He leads with a Coughing, as I lead with Cup. First of all, I go for a Thunder Wave to paralyse the Coffin, just in case it goes for any shenanigans. Fortunately, he just misses a Toxic. After this, I start ploughing away with Thunderbolt and take it out in 1 hit. 1 down, 3 to go. Now, after this, he sends out his next Pokemon, Muck. Again, I go for another Thunder Wave to paralyse it, as it only goes for a Minimise. Luckily, we still hit our next Thunderbolt, taking him down to the yellow. After this, he gets fully paralysed, and we just fire off another Thunderbolt to finish the Muck. 2 down, 2 more to go. This gym battle's going actually really well. Next comes out Coffin, so I just fire off 1 Thunderbolt which takes him cleanly out, and he's left with his last Pokemon, Weezing. After 1 Thunderbolt is left in the yellow as we get poisoned from Toxic. After this I go for a Thunder Wave as he retaliates with a Sludge that hurts quite a bit after poison damage, but we just take him out with another Thunderbolt after for the gym badge win. Cup was showing his true power there as an absolute MVP of this Nuzlocke, soloing Koga. Now, onto the 6th gym. Next up on our journey is Saffron City. Here we can face Sabrina, the gym leader, who has the same level cap as Erica, so we can't bring our most powerful mons in case we overlevel them. But before we face Sabrina, we have to head to Silphco to beat Giovanni and our rival. After swapping the team around to avoid overleveling, we head to Silphco where we met with our rival. This is our team going into the fight, but again, like I have with most rival battles here, I'll skip it as with a few quick switches and smart plays, we end up beating him and continue our way on to fight Giovanni. After destroying Giovanni with the help of Blender, we get to talk to the president, who gives us a Master Ball as a reward. It's good to know that we have a guaranteed ball to catch an encounter, even though I'm not sure who I'm going to use it on yet. With Silphco saved, we can head to Saffron City Gym to face Sabrina. Now, her team looks absolutely terrifying with a level 43 Alakazam that could outspeed and 1-hit KO 90% of my team. But we plough on anyway. She leads with a Kadabra as I send out Cup. Now, I'm not sure whether to go for a Thunder Wave here, so I just risk it and just go for a Thunderbolt, which pays off as it 1-hit KOs Kadabra. After this, Cup levels up to level 44, which is allowed mid-gym fight as Sabrina sends out Mr. Mime. I go for another Thunderbolt, which leaves him in the red as he just sets up a Calm Mind, so I go for a quick attack to do some chip damage so I can take him out with the next Thunderbolt, which actually crits, taking Mr. Mime out straight away. Next, she sends out Venomoth, so I go for another Thunderbolt, which just falls short of the kill, leaving her in the red, as she retaliates with a Supersonic, confusing us. Next, I go for another quick attack as she uses a Hyper Potion, but we hurt ourselves in confusion. I'm not ready for this confusion shenanigans as we get hit again as she fires off a Psybeam, which only does a little bit of damage. Luckily, we snap out of confusion and land another quick attack for chip damage as she only does a bit of damage, again with Psybeam. Next, we can finish her off with a Thunderbolt, and that's Venomoth down. Just Alakazam to go. Now, I'm not sure if Cup will outspeed here, but he's the fastest Pokemon on my team and I risk it anyway. So I fire off a Thunderbolt and we outspeed, but it leaves Alakazam in the yellow as he fires off a Psychic, which we survive on 2 HP. Next, I can just click Thunderbolt again for the win. That was extremely close, but luckily Cup pulled through, having the speed and power to solo Sabrina's entire team. 6 badges down, just 2 more to go. With Sabrina beaten and 6 badges under my belt, I decide to backtrack a little bit to get the HM for Fly and finally get the bike that I've been putting off for a little bit. With these in hand, we can progress the game a little bit more. At this point, I decide to upgrade my team a little bit, starting by evolving Nidorina into a beastly Nidoqueen with a Moonstone. After this, we head back to Pallet Town to catch a Shelder that we nicknamed Tong. Shortly after joining the team, Shelder evolves into a beastly Cloyster, which is going to help us with the next gym. With Cloyster in the team, we can finally surf down to the power plant for our next encounter. Turns out to be a Magnemite. We capture the Magnemite and nickname him Kettle. Kettle sits in the box for now as he's not as useful as Jolteon is. Now we've caught most of the encounters we can get, I head to Cinnabar Island ready to face the next gym. With our team at the level cap, we head straight to fight Blaine. Now, this is a fight I'm a little bit worried about, but with Cloyster on our team it makes it a little bit easier. He leads with Growlfline as I with Tong. The Intimidate here doesn't do much to us as I just fire off a Surf which knocks out the puppy in 1 hit. Okay, so far so good. Next out comes Ponyta, but he suffers the same fate and goes down to another Surf. With 2 1-hit KOs, I feel safe to stay here with Tong as Rapidash comes out. Luckily, we outspeed again and hit him with a Surf which just cleanly knocks him out again, and he's left with his last Pokemon, Arcanine. We fire off a Surf, but unfortunately, he fires off a Fire Blast, which is just too powerful for Tong to take, and just as quick as we get him, we lose him. Now this is really sad as he's one of only 2 water types we can catch in this challenge, and he was going to be crucial for the Elite Four. We sweep away the ashes that was once Cloyster and send out Bowl in his place. After this, Blaine just uses a Hyper Potion as we fire off an Earthquake to get the KO from full HP. If I'd have just switched to Bowl here, we could have avoided Cloyster's death and still have 2 water types in this run. Ah well, you live and learn. First death of the run, but 7th badge down. Before we even get to grieve the loss of Tong, we're whisked to one island by Bill to complete some weird task that he's got for us. But on this island we find out there's a little girl missing and that it's being terrorised by a gang of bikers. So obviously we've been roped into helping because everyone knows 10-year-olds are the best people to take down criminal organisations and gangs of bikers, of course. Anyway, we approach Free Island to talk to the bikers to try get them to leave the island residents alone. We met with a series of battles here, but we get through unscathed with no deaths, thankfully. Before heading into Berry Forest, we find our next encounter, which happily turns out to be a Psyduck, which we nicknamed Spoodle. At least this will replace the water-sized hole in our hearts when we lost Cloyster. At the end of the forest, we find Lostel, lost and alone, just like her name, getting attacked by a Hypno, but we managed to beat up the Hypno and then take her back home to her dad, because he was too lazy to rescue her himself, apparently. After finishing all the stuff on 1, 2 and 3 Island, we head to Viridian City to face the 7th gym, but before we face Giovanni, we get 2 evolutions in the form of Spoodle evolving into Golduck and Kettle evolving into Magneton. With the new evolutions adding some bulk to the team, we head to the 8th gym leader in Viridian City, which happens to be Giovanni. Now, I'd like to sit here and say this was the hardest fight of the run so far, but I'd be lying. Anyway, let's get into the battle. He sends out Rhyhorn as I lead with Spoodle. Spoodle then proceeds to knock every single one of Giovanni's team out with a single Surf, only taking an Earthquake from Dugtrio in the process. Easiest gym battle so far? I think so. 8th gym down, and now just the Elite Four to go. We are smashing this Nuzlocke. with all 8 badges in hand, we can head to Victory Road, but not before being stopped by Gary for a penultimate battle. But again, we skip this as we destroy him with some smart switches. After this, we arrive at the Pokemon League, ready to face the Elite Four. Now, at this point, I decide I'm not getting any more encounters, and I'm just going to take it on with the team I've got now, as we've got some very strong Pokemon, and I believe we can do it. Now, can we take on the Elite Four without any more deaths? Let's find out. With some careful consideration, I finally picked the 6 I'm going to be taking into the Pokemon League with me, including Cup, Spoodle, Blender, Spoon, Kettle, and Miss Nido. Now, I feel like these are the best Pokemon, including most of the MVPs, so let's see what we can do. First up is Lorelei, if I've pronounced that right. Now, she's an Ice-type trainer, but most of her Pokemon, actually, I think all of her Pokemon, also have a dual Water type. So obviously, as Lorelei sends out her Dewgong, I send out Cup. First off, we fire off a Thunderbolt that leaves Dewgong in the red and paralyses her. After this, she only sets up Hail, which does a little bit of chip damage to Cup, but nothing major. After this, Lorelei just uses her full restore, wasting it on Dewgong, as we take him out with another quick attack and a Thunderbolt after again only being hit with a little bit of Hail chip. That's one down, and we're looking very healthy as she sends out Cloyster. Cloyster just goes for Protect on the first turn, as we take a little bit more chip damage from Hail, but again, nothing major as we take her out next turn with a Thunderbolt. After this, she sends in her next Pokemon, Slowbro, as the Hail stops. Next turn, we just fire off a Thunderbolt, which again takes her out in one hit. We're looking good so far. Cup, you had definitely the MVP here. After this, Lapras comes out and we fire off a Thunderbolt, but it just falls short of the KO, leaving her in the red as she retaliates with quite a nasty Surf. She heals herself with a Citrus Berry, but it's not enough as a follow-up Thunderbolt takes Lapras out again next turn. Now, this is where things start to get a little bit dicey and I make some stupid decisions. Jinx comes in, decide to switch it up and go for a Shadow Ball, which hits Jinx for a lot of damage, leaving her in the yellow as she retaliates with an Ice Punch that would have killed if it had crit. After this, I know she's going to use a full restore, so I hit her again with another Shadow Ball and then decide to switch into Spoodle, who can shrug off the Ice Punches. But this is where the luck starts getting bad. Jinx lands an Ice Punch, which doesn't do much damage as we fire off a Confusion, taking another Ice Punch in the process. After this, I go for a Surf, but unfortunately we get frozen solid. Here, I decide to try for an early 4-out, but I don't get it, as we stay frozen solid. Here, I decide to switch into Spoon, who comes in on a weak Ice Punch and takes out Jinx with a Flamethrower. Whew, that was close and a stupid play on my part. First Elite Four member down. If I continue to make mistakes like that, we're not going to get through this Elite Four, but I was lucky to get through unscathed. Next up is Bruno, the fighting type trainer. Now, this again looks quite good as we have a few resistances and ways to deal super effective damage. He leads his Onix as I lead Spoodle, the good old trusty Golduck. I go for a quad effective Surf that obviously takes Onix out in one hit. Good start with Spoodle here as he sends out Hitmonchan. We then go for Confusion, which does a decent amount of damage to Hitmonchan, as all he does is miss a Rock Tomb. That was a good miss, as we fire off another Confusion that gets the crit to take him out in another hit. Okay, now we're starting to get some good luck. Next up for Bruno is Hitmonlee. Again, the luck turns sour as Hitmonlee comes in and crits Spoodle with a Brick Break, almost taking him out in one hit. But we fire off a Confusion, which does a good chunk of damage, as I decide to switch into Miss Nido, as she resists all of Hitmonlee's fighting type moves. After missing a Rock Tomb on the switch, we're free to take Hitmonlee out with an Earthquake. This just leaves Bruno with 2 Pokemon, the next up being his last Onix. Obviously, we go for the same strat here and just take him out with a quad effective Surf, leaving him with his last Pokemon, which turns out to be a Machamp. Machamp comes in as we hit him with a soft Earthquake for a little bit of damage, as he only hits us with a Scary Face. After this, we tank a soft Cross Chop but get a crit Earthquake to take Machamp out next turn. Now, these crits are all over the place, some for us, some against us, but anyway, that's the second Elite 4 member done, deathless. Next up is Agatha. Next up in the Elite 4 is Agatha, the Ghost type trainer. Now, this looks like a bit of a hard fight, as her Gengars are extremely speedy and hit very hard, but we have sort of a plan for this. The battle starts as she sends out Gengar and I lead with Spoodle. First off, I go for a confusion, which misses due to Gengar going for a double team. But we land the second one as he just goes for another double team, as we leave him in the yellow with another confusion. After this, he hits us with a Toxic, which badly poisons us as we hit another confusion, just falling short of the KO. After this, Agatha uses a full restore and we hit him again with another confusion, that crits, leaving him back in the red as we take a tick of poison damage. Goes for another double team, which means we miss our next two confusions as he hits us with a Shadow Punch. Now, we're too low after poison damage here, so I have to take the switch into Nuzlocke, who comes in on another double team. Gengar's not done playing with us as he hits us with a Confuse Ray, and next turn we hit ourselves in confusion. This fight is not looking good so far, but we snap out of confusion and hit the guaranteed Shockwave to take out Gengar. Next up is Haunter. Now, I was going to go for an Earthquake here, but I'm not sure if her Haunter has Levitate or not, so instead I decided to play it safe and go for a Surf, which leaves her in the yellow as she misses a Hypnosis. Another Surf brings her to the red as she finally hits a Hypnosis, putting Nuzlocke to sleep. After this, I switch into Cup, who just comes into a mean look, meaning he can't escape. That's fine, as we just take her out on the next turn with another Thunderbolt. Okay, just a few more Pokemon to go. Next up is Golbat, but obviously it goes down in one hit to Thunderbolt as it's super effective. After this, Agatha's only left with two Pokemon. First up is Arbok. The Intimidate cuts our attack, but being a special attacker, this doesn't matter, as I just go for a Thunderbolt which does good damage, leaving Arbok in the yellow as she just hits a Screech. I go for another Thunderbolt which takes him out next turn. Alright, last up is her level 58 Gengar. As she comes in, I hit her with a Thunderbolt as we outspeed, as she retaliates with a very nasty Sludge Bomb after recovering some health with Citrus Berry. But next turn, we can just click Thunderbolt again to get the KO and beat the third Elite 4 member. 3 down, 1 to go, and the champion. Up next is Lance. Last up for the Elite 4 is the Dragon type trainer, Lance. He has an insane team, but luckily I have a few ways to deal with these Dragon types. First up is Gyarados as I send out Cup. Now, this is an easy kill as a quad effective Thunderbolt takes Gyarados out in one hit. Next out is his first Dragonair. Now, I'm not sure what to do here, so I just click a Thunder Wave to paralyse as Dragonair goes for a soft Outrage. After this, I decide to do a little bit of damage with Shadow Ball, but it's not looking like it's doing enough as he hits another Outrage, leaving us in the yellow. After this, I decide to switch to Spoodle, who comes in as Dragonair stays fully paralysed. Next up, I just click Ice Beam, which takes Dragonair out in one hit. Lance's second Dragonair comes out now, but we hit it with an Ice Beam, which leaves it in the red, but we do get the freeze, meaning he can't retaliate next turn. After this, Lance uses a full restore as we hit another Ice Beam that again just falls short of the kill, leaving him in the red. But we outspeed next turn to take him out with another one. That's both Dragonairs down, leaving Lance with only 2 Pokemon left. First of those 2 Pokemon is Dragonite. Now, here I'm expecting a quad effective Ice Beam to take him out, but it just falls short of the KO, leaving him in the red as he just goes for a Safeguard as Citrus Berry brings him back to the yellow. We take him out next turn with another Ice Beam as Spoodle levels up to level 58. Finally, for Lance is Aerodactyl, but we just click Surf, which takes him out in one hit after taking a soft wing attack, winning us the final member of the Elite 4. Now, on to the last battle with the champion. This is it, the final challenge and the champion battle. We've fought Gary throughout this run many times, but this is going to be the only fight I don't skip. He's got a monster team with insane coverage, but I feel like our team has what it takes to beat him. He leads his Pidgeot as I lead Kettle. Tank a soft aerial ace as we retaliate with a Thunderbolt, leaving Pidgeot with just about 1 HP and paralysing it. Now, I go for a Thunderwave here, expecting a full restore, but instead Gary just hard switches into Rhydon, meaning Thunderwave doesn't do anything. I fear an Earthquake here, so I switch into Spoon, who comes in on the Earthquake unaffected. Now, Rhydon is a Rock-type Pokemon, and Spoon doesn't like rocks, so I'm going to have to switch here. So I switch into Blender, who comes in on a soft Rock Tomb, dropping our speed. An Earthquake comes out as we click Giga Drain, and if this had got a high roll, it would have straight up killed Blender. Luckily, Giga Drain takes Rhydon out in one hit, giving us lots of health in the process. Next up is Alakazam, and fearing a Psychic, I go again to switch into Cup, who has been our Alakazam killer this whole run, as Alakazam just hits the Future Sight. We go for a Thunderbolt, which just falls short of the kill as he sets up a Reflect, so we take him out next turn with another Thunderbolt. After this, Cup levels up to level 59 and Pidgeot comes back in as we take the Future Sight attack, but it fails. I go for a quick attack here as he does go for the full restore, but next turn we can just take him out with another Thunderbolt. Up third for Gary is his Arcanine, who comes in and again intimidates us, but we just hit it with a Thunderwave as it gets fully paralysed next turn. Reflect wears off as we go for a Thunderbolt, which leaves the puppy in the yellow, taking a Flamethrower in the process. Another Thunderbolt takes Arcanine out as Executor comes in. Knowing Cup can't do much to Executor here, I switch into Spoon, who unfortunately comes in on a Sleep Powder. Decide to stay in here as we stay fast asleep as Executor just hits us with an Egg Bomb. We wake up next turn though to take him out with a Flamethrower. This leaves Gary with his final Pokemon and his starter, Blastoise. Obviously, Spoon isn't a good matchup here, so I switch into Cup, who comes in as Blastoise just misses a Hydro Pump. I go for a Thunderbolt here, which leaves Blastoise in the red as he just retaliates with another Hydro Pump, which cleanly takes out Cup. Now, Cup has been an absolute legend in this run, so it's extremely sad to see him go down here. At least he went down in the last fight. Here, I switch to Kettle, forgetting about Torrent, as Blastoise heals with a Citrus Berry. Now, we go for a Thunderbolt, but unfortunately due to Torrent, Hydro Pump takes Kettle out, marking the third death of the run. That's 2 deaths in one fight. Luckily, I send out my backup, Blender. Blastoise just goes for a Hydro Pump. This Hydro Pump would have straight killed if it crit, leaving Blender in the red, but we retaliate again with a Giga Drain, taking Blastoise out and winning this run. Now, this has been a really fun challenge to do and a great video to edit. It's been completely different from my other videos of TCG, but I'm glad I kept a little TCG element here. It was nice to have some different encounters, and playing through Fire Red again just makes me nostalgic. Now, this is the first of many Nuzlockes that I'm going to be doing on this channel, so expect these videos to come out every month alongside my TCG videos. First Nuzlocke completed, is it first of many? Let's hope we can find out. I'll see you in the next one.